think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there? I hope everybody is doing wonderful. But I think we're gonna have a good little show tonight. You know, just like everybody, it's fight week, so a lot of people have been talking about Boots. But even before this week, I've been looking at Boots and trying to analyze where Boots is and how to actually speak about him. And I haven't heard anybody. I've heard a lot of different people speak on him, and a lot of times you got to eat the fish and spit out the bones, because you got to understand what angle, you know, a lot of people are talking about Boots. But it is a curious case, man. It's a case that we visit all the time because, you know, when we sitting here trying to analyze Boots and who he is and what's going on with him and what his trajectory is, things do get a little muddy depending on how you're looking at it. But I want to get into the housekeeping first. So I see AC in the building, easily baked, Cookie Monster. Let's see, mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding good as usual. Salute AC, salute Cookie Monster, salute easily baked, salute his twin. We good. We all right. We starting off on a good note. You know, let's get right into it. I'm gonna bring AC on, but I'm still gonna get into the nitty gritty. Let's see. I'm gonna bring this. Let me see. I'm gonna bring this on here. Diego Pacheco. You know, a guy that me and AC is high on, pretty high on, found out that he recently parted ways with Benavidez Sr. And I find that kind of interesting because Benavidez parted ways with El Rayo, and didn't get too much information on why. But I'm like, man, what is going on with Senior? Because it was something, even though I didn't really like this part, because you're talking about a father and a son with David and Jose Benavidez Sr. You know, it's like it was a rift there, or, you know, some channels were trying to be messy about it. I'm like, here they go being messy. So I really didn't dive into it. But at one point in time, it was supposed to be a rift between them. And David wanted to, you know, pursue other options. But I do know that there was a time when it came down to El Rayo Valenzuela, where it was pretty much right after the Edwin de los Santos laws. When De Los Santos stopped El Rayo, and Senior had came out. And at the time, even though I like Dave, even though I like Jose, I like Senior. You know what I'm saying? I actually like Senior. I like his personality. I like Yeah, I like how he comes across. He answers questions. He pretty funny dude. You know, I don't know what happens, you know, in the gym with them guys. I'm not an insider or nothing like that. But like everything I hear, he's like, you know, he talk his little smack or whatever, but he's not too braggadocious, you know. I mean, he do promote like everybody else, but I don't think he goes above and beyond. And when he talk about the guys, at least in front of the camera and what he's shown, I don't know what's going on. But I mean, I don't see nothing wrong, but like behind the scenes, I don't know what's going on. Because I know when El Rayo got stopped, he came out and basically said that he spilled the beans that El Rayo wasn't focused. Might have been, you know, entertaining his shorty and all that. And at first I was like, nah, man, that's not the time to really do that, you know, but who am I? Who am I? You know what I'm saying? I'm just on the outside looking in. But I was thinking to myself, like, who am I to say anything about it? Because I'm not into coaching and all that, but it wasn't a good look, in my opinion. And then it wasn't that long. I think they stayed together for a little while longer. And then El Rayo went over there to Robert Garcia. You know, now whether El Rayo and Pacheco, whether they have a relationship, I know Robert Garcia, you know, a lot of people be talking about squads and legions and having a little army and a little troops. Robert Garcia, I've been saying this for like about a year or two now. It's been over a year, but it's coming up on about 2 years now. I've been looking at Robert Garcia in those camps, and he's breeding a nice little army. He got a lot of good talent over there, man. Like he got a lot of what you would call burgeoning talent. And you know, I mean, you talking about if Robert Garcia was to be able to get his hands on a Diego Pacheco, a man who already fundamentally understands how to fight behind a jab, he understands how to go to the body. If you're talking about, man, if you're talking about somebody like Robert Garcia, and now I'm not really saying that this is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm just imagining. I'm just saying, what if? Because Diego Pacheco had to part ways, and I'm just connecting some dots. Not saying that this is happening. I'm just saying, what if? Could you imagine if Robert Garcia was actually able to get his hands on a Diego Pacheco, a relentless body puncher, a guy who fights behind a jab? He is a boxer who likes to go to the body, has a nice uppercut. But if he could install a lot of those things that Mikey Garcia had as in the boxer that Mikey Garcia was in that body, like if he could actually avatar somebody like Diego Pacheco, a guy who already said he's young, he's already been getting battle tested, he already headlined, he's a mature guy because he has a family, you know what I'm saying? He stay out the way out there. I think he's in East LA. But could you imagine if Robert Garcia was able to avatar a Diego Pacheco at 68? You know what I'm saying? You already see what Bam is doing. Can you imagine somebody like Diego Pacheco getting in there? You know what I'm saying? Getting some of that same tutelage that Bam is getting, and you know, letting Robert Garcia rub on him on that product that's already there. And Diego Pacheco, he is not raw at all. You know what I'm saying? The man can box. You know, but I'm trying to figure out what's actually going on with Senior. And maybe he has a knack for finding talent, and maybe he gets them to a certain place, and whatever they see or whatever they're being exposed to, whatever they're going through, you know, is making them say, you know what, maybe I need to broaden my horizons. I'm not sure, man, but it's something that somebody might want to inquire about. You know, I found that interesting being at Diego Pacheco. Like when we did an episode a couple months ago about who might inherit the 68 division, you know, we were talking about Diego Pacheco. We were talking about M. Billy. We were talking about Aussies, Iglesias. Those were like the ones, those were like the main hitters, you know what I'm saying? We know Bud canceled out Canelo. So if Bud is to move and them belts get scattered to the four winds, we already put our bids in, and we said that Diego Pacheco and Billy and Aussies Iglesias, we're going to be some heavy hitters in that division. I think you might want to put Lester Martinez there, even though he had a chance to really like put his stamp on Billy, and he's still a little too raw. But maybe that experience might put his name in the hat. But I just thought that was interesting, man. Like El Rayo left senior. Now we're hearing about Diego Pacheco leaving senior. And David Benavidez, it was word that, he wanted to broaden his horizons, but, I guess they stayed together and they're doing their thing, which, is bittersweet if you're talking about it, because we already know that David is special. He's a monster. The other part of the housekeeping, Ben Whitaker signs with Matchroom. Now, I like Ben Whitaker because, I liked him in the beginning because he was something different coming from across the pond, doing a drunken master and all that. Like, it's always a treat when you can hear, when you can actually witness certain fighters who don't fight like everybody else. Like, that's like the beauty in watching like a Jahad Tucker or a Ben Whitaker, like, that's not doing it the way that everybody else is doing it, and Ben Whitaker, he does a lot of that. Like, I think Boots do a little bit of it. It's like that showmanship where they want to like stand and pause and, get eyes. And I know my father-in-law, he was big on Ben Whitaker, but when the competition got a little stiff, and Ben Whitaker got into that trouble, it was almost like out of sight, out of mind. It got real quiet. Nobody knew what was happening. Then he bounced back. He had a fight. I think he got another win on his belt. I think he came back and redeemed himself. But a lot of people was wondering what trajectory was he really on. Like, does he really do those things because the talent in front of him affords him the ability to be able to play around like that? Or is he just that good? People had all those questions, but word on the street is that he didn't re-sign with Boxer, and he did the whole show me the money thing. And ironically, a gentleman, the one I always say, watch out for the tale of two Eddies, had obliged him. And so now he's team Matchroom. And that's very interesting because I always say Eddie Hearn, he has no problem spotting talent. He definitely has no problem procuring talent from the United States and then taking them overseas and having them do some weird things. And, Eddie is going to be the crux of a lot of the conversation tonight.
Could I jump in real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just to before we get into the last portion of the housekeeping, number one, Diego parting ways with Benavidez. To a certain degree, I think that's a good move, because for me, the way all the information is playing out is the Benavidez camp is they want to slim down. I guess put a lot of their attention and focus on building their star. The same conversation you and I had when we were talking about B&B, Terrence Crawford being the go-to guy no matter what happens. We talked about it with Floyd Mayweather. He was the go-to guy for PBC. Whenever shit got shaky, you got other stars, but Floyd was going to be that guaranteed money. So right now, I guess the Benavidez camp is looking for that lightning in the bottle. Okay, we're going to build the entire gym's name off of what David is going to do. So we need to pour all our resources, time, and attention into honing David, and then we could worry about everybody else after David is uh, finally solidified and established. And if we could get him in a fight with Peterviev, then he beats Peterviev, then we could start to look at other talent, because now our price and our regimen makes sense. And I think that's probably where they're at. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I'm trying to speculate off of the factual moves that they had made uh, at this particular point. Talking about him going over there with the Garcias. Oh my God! I just can't imagine. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it. Ben Whitaker, um, good move. Good move, smart business move. I think he understands the business of boxing. Yeah, I needed to do all of this flashy shit so I can get noticed by a big promoter. Maybe the deal he had with his former promotional company was, okay, granted, we're gonna let you make the big name off of yourself, and when we go after other new young talent, we're gonna be like, yeah, we also had Ben Whitaker, and we got him to sign with Matchroom. So I think it's a mutual understanding between both those parties that signing with Matchroom is a win-win for both companies, depending on how you spin it. And him going over to Matchroom uh, signifies that, hey, listen, Turk, hey, bro, I'm entertaining. I can kind of sell a fight. You might want to look at me for one of those Riyadh jump offs, especially one of these joints coming up soon, or maybe February. So that's where I land my plane on that. That's just my insight on it.
Well, I did hear that Eddie and Matchroom they have some kind of agreement with Turkey. They just came like the other day. They just came to some kind of permanent agreement. So in essence, if it's almost like if you go get with Matchroom at this point and Eddie, then you're automatically getting with Turkey. We know that it was kind of like it was that way. And when we get into the thing with Boots and the two tune-ups and all that in a little bit, when we get off into all of that, there was this underlying thing to where, all right, if it's something grandioso, the Turkey's going to intercede and give the money. It's almost like when we think about what he said about Richardson Hitchens. He was like, well, if he ain't with Eddie, I ain't gonna be involved. After the whole what was it called? The what was that jail? Alcatraz.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be T.O. and Richardson Hitchens and Alcatraz, and Turkey was advertising that, and then Richardson Hitchens secretly completed his deal, and then at the end of his contract, I guess he was weighing his option, and I guess somehow they didn't like that, and Turkey was basically like, nah, man, if you ain't with Eddie, I don't want you. So hearing this news here not too long ago, I'm hearing that Matchroom actually did a deal with Turkey, and pretty much if you go over there with Eddie, then it's almost like how they used to say with I'm gonna draw my own comparison. It's almost like when they say, oh well, you like if you go to Floyd, then you still with PBC. It's like they're kind of like joined at the hip, so to speak, to where so that's what I'm hearing. So in a roundabout way, he do kind of have Turkey's back end. The way Sean Zettel and Radio Raheem and them, they was chopping it up the other day. I seen one of their interviews, one of the ones that was supposed to be about Boots, but it wound up being about this particular subject. They were basically saying that the TKO thing is going to be one thing, but that's going to be like the breeding farm to feed Matchroom USA, which is what Eddie's trying to do under this whole Boots thing being in Philly and these little cars that he's having in the United States. Matchroom USA, which would, if you're doing really well and they want you to be like in the grandioso, then you get the Riyadh season. So it's almost like a tiered, from what I gather from them, it's almost like a tiered type system, but they're all in bed together.
Amateurs, amateurs, regionals. You feel what I'm saying? After regionals, you actually get to the big dome, and once you get to the big dome, then it's Crystal City, the lights.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. That to my understanding, you know what I'm saying? And I made a comment because I was like, man, I was like, the first 2 minutes of this was about Boots, the rest of this was about some other and Sean was like, yeah, I know, we kind of get whatever, and they got back around to it in the end, but that's where I got that information from. So fact check me. I always say, hey, fact check me, but to my understanding, I got to stay abreast of these things. I got to keep my ear to the street and know what's going on. But that's my spiel as far as the Diego Pacheco and Ben Whitaker news. Now, this last one is going to help the conversation tonight. Where I say every fighter has indefensibles. And what I mean by that, because I know I made up a word, indefensibles. Every fighter has some things, and I think it's important that fan bases understand this when they actually having conversation. And the reason why I really wanted to have this conversation about Boots is because I've heard people that don't really care for him that much or see his potential or whatever. I've heard it from different fan bases, and I felt as though nobody did Boots justice comprehensively. So I gotta break this down and say that all fan bases have indefensibles, and I'm gonna use myself as an example, right? Like I'm a supporter of Tank, right? And there were some indefensibles. So I'm gonna use myself as an example, and this is where I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to hearing people that's in defense of Boots, that comes to the aid of Boots or try to, you know, raise the flag for Boots. It's like there are some things that are indefensible. And so I'm going to name a couple fighters that I rock with that I couldn't defend, you know what I'm saying? But I noticed that this is a flaw when it comes to certain fans supporting their fighters. Now, one of them, the shit that they wear and stuff like that. Like there's no defense for a person like myself. There's no defense for a merce, which is a man's purse, or fingernail polish, or weird clothing. Like there's no defense for that. You know what I'm saying? So like I've never tried to defend that. You know what I'm saying? Some of that's some cultural stuff, some of that some who you affiliated with, some of that some contractual fashion stuff behind the scenes, some shit that I don't even care to know about. You know what I'm saying? You just not gonna catch me with my fingernails polished or wearing no man bag in no sense of the word. You know, I can't defend that. I know that it another indefensible was a couple years ago. Coach Kenny and Coach Calvin on they little show, they not little show, but on their show, they did a show and they did a coin flip. And that coin flip happened to be, I think if it was tails, it was going to be Shakur. It wound up being Shakur. And then the whole world was watching because they did that. And then it was no Shakur. And I had to eat that. It was like, that was one of the things where I'm like, I can't defend that. They did flip the coin. Because you know what I've been on? I've been on this shit for the longest time. I always said that in my book, this is what I'm still pushing for. I don't say that I don't think it's gone, but I've always been on this. I've always been on the Cold War. Like, you know what? Once them crosshairs moved from Tank and Devin, which is the one I wanted, you know, I flirted with the idea of a Tank and T.O. You know what I'm saying? I was pushing for that when nobody else was saying nothing. But when it really came down to this, I said it's the Cold War. I said just don't let them divide and conquer us on all of these conversations. Whereas all of those people on the screen right there, they're black. So if you pick and choose, like if you pick one side, that's just is what it is. You just think that person is going to beat that person to fight. But we can support them all. So outside of them fighting each other, we're going to support them all. It's just that when they come down to fighting, we're going to pick this side. So when that coin flip thing happened and it landed on Shakur, it's like I had to eat that as a Tank fan. It was embarrassing. There was an indefensible. Like I could not defend it. Now, that wound up correcting itself. Why? Because people don't never double back and say when it corrected. It corrected itself when we found out that there was an offer made and somebody said no. They wanted a multi-fight deal, and then they also did what Ben Whitaker did and what Boots did. They actually went and signed with Matchroom. So that was when when that offer was made. So from the time when the coin flipped and they said it was Shakur and we got all hype about it and we had to try to defend that shit as fans, and either you was going to talk about it or you was going to act like it didn't happen or whatever. That isn't indefensible. I'm not going to deny that happened. When it got fixed was when an offer was extended and somebody said no, that's when Tank fans got relieved of that shit. But that was an indefensible. You know what I'm saying? And that's two examples of things that was in I'll use another person. I'll use Jamel. Me knowing Jamel and how he fight, and that being one of my top 3 guys. The way when he moved up and he fought Canelo, the way in which he fought, and how he did not do what he would normally do. His body work wasn't there. He wasn't as offensive, and it was almost like he made a business decision in the ring. And me and AC, I think a couple lives ago, we talked about it. That for me as a fan, knowing how my fighter fight, because I know how all my fighters fight, like just like when Tank fought Roach, I know that that's not how Tank was not focused. I know, but the performance, that was an indefensible. The way Jamel fought Canelo, that was, for me as a fan, that was an indefensible. I'm not gonna sit up here and try to gaslight you and try to tell you, oh man, like nah, and try to like no, like those were indefensible. So I say that because a lot of the times I'd be like, okay, cool. Boots do have some advocates and they are going to raise their flag, but we're going to get into some shit tonight that's indefensible. So if you try to get up here and do that, man, you're gonna have to fall on your sword, man, because you're gonna go out on your shield. And if you're gonna try to protect Boots or try to hold up the banner for him or raise the flag for him in future conversation and defending him, you got to understand that all fighters in all moments, just like Shakur, just like Keyshawn, all of these guys have indefensibles. Like things that Devin, he got a whole bunch of them. To where it's like, if you try to defend the shit, you sound dumb. And we know that you're gaslighting and you're talking to us like we're stupid. Those are the housekeeping tips before we actually get into this conversation. What you got on that, AC? What you think about that? You want the link? Well, I'll wait. I don't know what AC doing right now, but the link is out there. All right, now let me get into this. It's a couple things, man, when we had this Boots conversation. Let me get it up here. The question is Boots on borrowed time? You know, and I was saying that this is a comprehensive look at the Phenom from Philly, Jaron Boots Ennis. Are you buying or are you selling? Like right now, I mean, I got stock in Jaron, right? I have stock in Jaron and I'm pretty much holding. I'm not selling, I'm holding. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at my shares. You know, I'm looking at my shares right now and I'm kind of holding. I wanted to get some more shares. But right now I'm looking at it like, let me hold for a second. You know what I'm saying? I'm not selling any. You know what I'm saying? I was getting ready to go buy up a couple more, but I'm holding right now. And salute the dirt. Let me show y'all some things because I want y'all to understand this. This is when so you know who's talking or whatever. This is when this is the fight. So when he fought Stan Giannis, I was in the building when history was being made. That's me at the fight. Had my binoculars in my hand, had drinks for me and my lady. That's the poster that was out there. This is the same hallway where I was like arm's reach away from Richards and Hitchens that day. So I want to show y'all this so y'all know that I was actually supporting Boots. This is like the ring. This is when, because that night Amari Jones fought. This is us when they do that little ready cam. This is me and my lady, like up there when they did the little ready cam. You know what I'm saying? So we was in the building. So the last fight, we was in the building. We went up there to Atlantic City and went. So this is a person that actually supported So this is not, I'm not just shooting from the hip. I don't have just raw venom for Boots. So when I talk about Boots and I get into some of these things, when I talk about the indefensibles and I talk about this comprehensive look at him, I'm speaking as a guy who actually was trying to support Boots. You know, I don't. Some people get in their feelings when it comes down to talking about guys in the sport. Let me see. Let me do it like that. There we go. That's better. All right.
Oh, Dirk, what's going on, bro?
What's up? How
All
y'all
right,
doing?
we're good.
I'm
We're
good, man.
That's good. Look,
So
man, as far
good.
as Lima, like, actually, I don't think Lima's a bad fighter. Like, I know some people are the belief that he's a bum, or, which I think people throw that word around a little bit too loosely, in my opinion. Personally, I don't think he's a bum. He's actually a solid fighter. Beat a couple guys on the road that were undefeated. Uh, his only loss is to Aaron McKenna. If you know who Aaron McKenna is, he's an Irish prospect, highly touted, that recently fought Liam Smith on a Riyadh card, and he beat the dog shit out of Liam Smith. Almost stopped him. And
Mm.
Lima is the only guy that's given trouble so far. And you think about it, Lima had to go up in weight to middleweight to fight this dude on a 5-day notice, and still gave him trouble. So what I'm saying is, Boots should beat this guy, but he ain't no walkover, bro. He's a big dude. Boots has been, a lot of people say Boots is a weight bully, you know. So let's see what he looks like with somebody close to his style, somebody strong. I'm not saying he's more skilled than Boots. Obviously he's not. But it's a decent test for your first fight at 54. Not what we want, but after this fight, there's no more excuses, man. You gotta fight them guys. So that's what I got to say.
Okay. So you all up in the Kool-Aid, Dirk. You still in Thunder, and you jump like 3 spots from a little outline here. You know what I'm saying? What we gotta understand, right, is this first point, right? The first point right here. We in the microwave era, right? Like right now, people, like, if you even think about how people consume content, how people consume, like, it's not like how it used to be. Like when we used to buy an album and we bought an album and we would just let that shit ride. We buy one CD, we gonna let it ride. It's gonna stay in the deck. It's like now, it's like somebody, they hear a song, that's it. Oh, I heard that. You know what I'm saying? Let's just like knock in the way. It's like your theme song for them 2 weeks or whatever you want to consume and go. Like it's the same way with boxing. And it's like we in a time where we want it now, we want it fast, and we don't got time to wait. I'm not saying me, because I'm a little bit more laid back, I'm a little bit more reserved, but like you, that's why I asked, is Boots on borrowed time? It was kind of like a trick question, because in a sense he is, and it's because of the era that we in.
I disagree because when Bud was around this age, Bud wasn't as popular as Boots is right now at this age. And I believe at this age, Bud's best win was, what's the Scottish dude's name? You know what I'm talking about, that Scottish dude that he fought in Scotland. That was his best win up to this point. So it's not like Bud's resume was,
Dirk,
it ain't like his resume was
Dirk,
pristine at 28 years old either.
Dirk, but I hear your argument about age, but we also have to look at what was accomplished. But my whole point, where I was going to come in, is Boots is really, at that junction, to whereas fans who might have been on the fence and then gave him a mulligan when it came down to the Stanionis win and things like that. We're kind of at the point where it's like, all right, bro, we don't agree with your moves that you made to get to 54, because at the end of the day, you're still fighting a champion. So, I mean, look at it how you want to, come up whatever talking points you want to, but that's the reality. He's still fighting a current champion. And I guess in Europe, their thing is 5 belts. He has
Right.
he has one of those belts, so I I can't call it a tune-up when you're
It's an
fighting a
eliminator too,
champion. You,
and it's an eliminator.
yeah, for one of the American
WBA.
belts. You
Yep.
But he's still gonna walk away with the IBO belt that we saw on a Riyadh card. We saw Dimitri Bivol fight for a IBO belt on a Riyadh card. So
Right.
at the end of the day, we could discredit the guy as much as some channels want to, but I think he's I seen some footage where they're breaking him down, and I could see where people are talking like I could see to bring it back to body's point of being in the microwave. You feel what I'm saying? For us fans that I'm talking about, we've had boots in a microwave and we pushed the 10-minute button. Hopefully we could stock this shit because we like, yo, this shit is getting kind of overcooked here and done. And I don't want
It's actually a positive thing that people are critical of Boots' opponents, bro, because they do that. I don't know if they realize it or not, but it's a compliment to the type of fighter we think he is or he could be.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know?
compliment, but it's
Yeah.
also it's a two-sided sword. It's a gift and a curse because at the end of the day, we're asking you, the microwave crowd, the casuals, the one that are building your name, the ones that are talking about it and spreading your name. Those people they may not have a need to see you in that thing, but if you can get in there with someone credible, another big, credible name, then oh shit, this Jaron Boots guy is now your name is matching the energy that's out there and it's all legitimate.
I think to a lesser extent, and hear me out when I say this. I say a lesser extent. It's kind of the Bud scenario, where people would say, "Oh, this is gonna be a decent test for Bud." Like when he fought Post Off, for example, this is gonna be a good test for Bud. This is a 50-50 fight. Bud go in there and wash the dude, and people say, "Who the fuck is Post Off?"
Nah, I wouldn't I
People
wouldn't go
people
like
said that about Stanionis.
I see what you say to a lesser extent, but I'm just gonna piggyback off of this and try to bring it back to the whole microwave talking point. I'm just saying it like this. For us fans who've had Boots in the microwave for a minute, we're asking for a real 50-50 fight to whereas the general consensus with the public is he could possibly lose this fight.
Yeah.
There's a real chance he could lose this fight. That happened with Gamboa. That happened with Post Out. That happened with Errol Spence. That happened with Canelo. We have not got that yet with Boots.
Now wait a minute. To you, though, that fight with Post Out and Gamboa might have been 50-50 fights.
No,
But after the fact,
I'm talking about the general consensus. To
no,
where
the general
Gamboa
public did
was.
not. That's not true. No disrespect, but that's not true. A lot of people didn't really give Bud his flowers until he beat Earl Spence. That's how long it took.
No, but
Before Earl
you
Spence,
completely missed my point.
before Earl Spence, a lot
Your
of niggas
comment
were
is
saying
letting
that
me
he
know
didn't
you
fight
missed my
nobody.
point, though.
You got to be honest with that, bro. A lot of niggas were critical of Bud's resume before Earl Spence. That's the truth.
Who was Gamboa at the time that Bud Crawford fought him? Gamboa.
Okay,
was that guy.
and again, you're looking at
He
it from
was
a different
fucking-
lens. I'm talking about
Okay,
the
that's the only
general
lens I
public.
know is honesty. I
You
don't
looking
look
at it from you're looking from a different lens because I know you like Crawford, but I'm talking about the people who are in the middle or the people who are not Crawford fans. Then people did not view Gamboa as some great win. That's just the truth.
Okay.
All right, let me do this because Dirk, y'all unknowingly walk right into point number 2, and I need give me a little second to cook on this, and I'm gonna tell you what's going on right now because y'all already got into where I was going with this. What people got to understand with Boots is that there are multiple fan bases that he's being compared to, and he's up against. Now, example. Y'all already jumped into the Bud, but I'm a parking lot that real quick, and I'm gonna come back to it, and it's gonna make sense. But let's bring up Devin, right? When we bring up Devin, these two guys are the same age. Devin actually has 4 months. Devin's debut 4 months earlier than him, right? Devin is actually going to his third weight class. He was undisputed. He was 2-time champ, and now he's getting ready to fight a guy in the third weight classes. He's up against that whole fan base to where whenever that conversation comes up, you got to deal with the people that's going to go from that fan base perspective and look and how they're looking at Boots, especially when they say, he's like, he got all the bells and whistles. You know what I'm saying? He passes the eye test. Like all of these things, all these glowing phrases that they say, it's like, oh man, you see him, he's like a video game. But then when you want to play the accolade games, when you look at somebody like Devin, he's like killing them accolade wise. When you look at him and that's just one fan base, that's the D Hive. That's Devin and them. Boots got the Beehive. That's all of the Boots only fans who just is no rationale or no reasoning with them either. But then you got the Bud fans. You got the Bud fans that's going to be critical and say, okay, well, like you said, at this time, some people like myself are going to be critical and say, get the gamble and all that. I don't like getting into the minutia because at this point in time, after the hindsight is 2020 and the recency bias thing, it kicks in. So people kind of wipe the slate before with things that happened with Bud. But if you look at what Bud was able to do, where he started, how many divisions and how long he was there, at this point in time, would he have still been in just now touching foot in his first weight class with this many fights? No. But it's a whole demographic out here that's looking at it like that. Some people are reasonable where they'll say, well, listen, man, it's different strokes for different folks in the management, and they're going to consider all of the small things. But that's just two fan bases that's looking at Boots. That's just two. You're not even talking about the Tank fan base that's saying, oh man, he gets just as much hate as Tank because he's flashy. He's the only one that's entertaining. He's the only one
no,
that's
you forgot one important before you forget the Tank fans, Virgil Ortiz fans.
I was going to get there. Going to get there too. The Virgil Ortiz fans, and they got a whole fan base that's just because of that fan base alone. Like the same part of that same fan base that was supporting Canelo, part of the same fan base that's going to support David Benavidez. That Mexican fan base, they got all of those, and they kind of actually have the kind of covering that can cover up a little bit of sin of a Virgil Ortiz. It's just we're talking about Boots, but if you get into a Virgil Ortiz, you can say, oh, well, this is his third, he was in 40, 47, 54, third division, and no real title.
No,
you know belts. What I'm saying? Like, but he has a whole fan base that's going to cover that up. He's going to have a whole fan base that's going to cover up all of the pullouts and all that.
And that Bodywork performance ain't aging too well after we just saw Bodywork get his ass whooped by Brandon Adams.
Exactly. But you have that fan base out there that have a narrative, that have people that report, that's going to analyze Boots, because they like, well, if Virgil already moved up to 54, what's going on with Boots? You see what I'm saying? But you actually have those people that say, okay, well, he just now unified. Now, me as a Tank fan, I'll say, well, shit, at least you unified, because that's something that they never gonna let Tank, get away with. He never unified. It's probably that shit on his whole resume because he never put two belts together. Well, Boots put two belts together. It just he left us hanging because we thought that he was 2/4 of the way, and he had got the ring, and so he had Brian Norman right there to where that'd have been the third one. He would have forced Mario Barrios' hand with the last one. Like, he was right there with it, as far as I'm concerned, for him to just jump up to 54.
And not to interrupt, but if you paid attention, Booth's last couple performances at 47 were suspect against Avanesian, against Karen, and even against Stanionis, bro. The explosiveness was not the same as before. You could tell that the weight cut starting to kill him.
Well, yeah,
So he
well, the
needed to.
Stan Giannis was different to me, and I was there.
Yeah,
I
he
was in the
looked, he
building.
looked a lot better against Daniel, especially without a rehydration clause, which is
Exactly. So, and the thing is, for his path out, he wouldn't have had to worry about that because it would have been unification. Like the last two would have been another unification. So yeah, he would have had to make the weight, but he wouldn't have had to worry about the 10 pound. That was another argument point that I was saying. I'm like, well, you done did it all this time. You a gym rat. This is what the greats do. You said you wanted undisputed in 4. You said you wanted undisputed at welterweight, 54,
54,
60, and
60, and
68.
68.
Exactly. And so you was 2/4
I mean,
the way there, and then you was
you
home
can't
free
you
without the
can't force
rehydration.
you can't force these people to fight you, bro. Like, who's to say that Brian Norman and their team would have played more games with Boots and said, you know what, we need more money than we asked for last time, or we need to do this, we needed to do that. It's not worth it, bro. You risking yourself underperforming, staying at a weight class where you killing yourself to make weight, which he's shown signs of underperforming already. So it's not worth it. Move up. You 28, you almost 30, bro. You can't be cutting weight as big as you is on 47.
But Dirk, there's some people that say, man, that the timing of that, man, like, okay, because I never get an answer on this. Dirk. Well, why did they come out and do that? Why did they come out and do that thing that they did with Brian Norman like 2 weeks? I think
it's ironic. Crawford fans of all people say that when they say, well, Boots was already offered a fight with Crawford, he should have took it then, because now apparently it's too late. Well, okay, by your logic, Brian Norman was offered a fight with Boots. They turned it down. Oh, it's not enough money. We need $3 million or $2 million, whatever they asked for.
Well, Rachel already killed.
Cool. We moving on, bro.
Rachel. We kicked that dead horse. That's a dead horse. But Rachel killed that when she said she talked to Daryl Peebles and all of that. They both was playing like it's a little bit on. That's on both sides. Like Norman Senior, because of the publicity, Senior ran with it. And Boots and them, they ran like YSM and Boots and all them. They ran with it too.
Yeah, he told them exactly. Like my son had hand surgery, so he wasn't in a position to fight anyway. And we knew that Karan had already put in the paperwork, so he played the game just like they wanted to play the game, and that's all that was.
Yeah, there was no haps because Rachel Donaire said she talked to Daryl Peebles and said because it's protocol, and he was not going to be able to represent that belt because Karen had already put the paperwork in, and so he was obligated unless they had paid that extra money, and Eddie didn't pay that extra money. And if you look at it, he didn't even win that purse bid, which wound up biting him in the tail because he had to pay extra money. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, like it was just
that's fair. So that's fair. I disagree with a lot of people think they think Boots' career is not being ran well. I disagree. I think Boots' career is actually being run perfectly. It's just up to him to perform because right now he's got a good opportunity. He looks good against Lima. He will be in line. They're going to order the WBA title fight next, unless that maybe Virgil. If Virgil doesn't take the offer in February, which I don't think he's going to take that, by the way. So if Virgil fight don't happen, he can fight Abbas for the WBA title, and they're also negotiating with Bakram to unify after they get the WBA. The reason why nobody wants to fight Bakram is because he's the IBF champion, and you got to deal with a rehydration clause with him. That's why a lot of people don't want to deal with that, bro. Especially Virgil, who almost died making 47. So that's why people are not fighting him.
So my thing is this though, okay, because we point out, like I know I pointed it out with Shakur when he lost his leverage, when he blew the scales and he lost his leverage with the Conceição fight moving up because he wouldn't have had to go through all of that stuff with Devin had he not blew the scales. Keyshawn, had he not blew the scales, now he had 40 with no leverage. It's like Boots had the WBA that he just took off, he just released Stan Giannis of. And he had the IBF in the ring. So why didn't he use his leverage? Why didn't he use his leverage when he moved up?
Who was the WBA champ at the time? Wasn't it still Crawford?
between Crawford. Well, he just moved up like that.
Yeah, but like Crawford just recently relinquished that belt, so it wasn't possible. Also, I think the guy that originally held the interim was Telez, Ennis Telez, and he lost to Abbas, the African,
Yeah,
who's
he
the
just did
current.
it, but Boots, that could have been Boots. Like that, at least that would have been a name that everybody knew,
I mean,
right?
oh, what? Well, so you, in your opinion, a name is more important than just getting the belt or winning a fight.
No,
So
no, no, no. I
I
told you.
disagree with that, bro.
No. I told you. See, listen, I'm being. You got to look at me like the mediator right now. Like you got to look at me like I'm the ref. I'm referring the game, but I'm bringing up the points. You know what I'm saying? Because I never get these from like Boots Only fans. I never get answers from Boots Only fans. They slide right along. So I'm saying, listen, because a lot of the times people who talk boxing, they're critical of everybody else. But then when people are critical of them, they just move. They just want to move right to the next question because it's uncomfortable. So what I'm doing right now is I'm saying, listen, I'm not a Boots Only fan, but I'm a fan. And this is what I be trying to say is like, how do you get so pissed off, or how do people get so upset, or they want to run away from the conversation when people are bringing up these legit points when it comes down to Boots? Because it goes to the third point. His talent and his size demand greatness. Now, the fact that he's so big and he's so strong, and for the longest time when he was at welterweight, a lot of them guys were 40s moving up. That was cool. That was no problem. But when it came down to him using his leverage to go up and fight Bakram, who Bakram pretty much spiked Tim Tszyu. He did something to Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu, he ran to that fire after a tough fight with Fundora. But it's like when because I call it punching down. Now this is the same conversation that I was having about Devin when it came to him being down there at 35. We see he at welterweight now, right? It's the same conversation I had about Deontay Wilder when I said he was punching down, because it seemed like whenever he had the reach and he was taller, it was cool. But when he wasn't punching down, then all of a sudden it's like, man, you see how massive that dude is and how big? It's like, no. So this is the same thing I do when it comes to Boots. It's like, why? When it looked like, okay, cool, you can move up, and now it's these big dogs. It's like, oh no, I need, you know what I'm saying? I need time. I need, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out. And I don't ever get no answers. Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, because in real time, because listen, let me show you something. Well before this was out, I did a whole video well before. Let me take this down. Well before I did this, I said, why not? This was a minute ago. I said, why not? Because at the time, Sabril Matiz, who had the IBF, I did a why Sabril shouldn't move up and fight Boots, because Sabril was having a hard time getting fights. And I was saying, why not Sabril move up and fight Boots? But then I came out and said, you know what? I'm no hypocrite. If I'm asking Sabril to move up and fight Boots because Sabril was having a hard time getting fights, and I said, why not? Why wouldn't Boots move up and fight Bakram? I took it a step further. I said, it's already a movie. We've seen this movie before.
Oh no, don't do that. Hell no, don't do that, bro.
I said it. I said it's already a movie.
Yeah, but that's disrespectful.
Hey, but that's how I was looking. But see,
it ain't gonna be like that movie.
This is the thing.
Hey man,
you remember what I
black
said
guy.
about Devin? You remember what I said about Devin and how he already can say, "Oh, I had undisputed. Now I'm a two, and I got 2-time champ. This is gonna be my 3rd division." Like if he is to beat Brian Norman, he's gonna be a 3-division champ with one undisputed, and then ain't no telling if he's gonna stay at 54. It's like, whereas Boots is gonna be in his 2nd division, and it's like the way that he has to maneuver, because this is why at the end Bud gets all of the credit that he gets, because when he moved up, he fought a champion. And then when he moved up again, he fought a champion. You see where I'm going? So we talked about this in point number 2, to where there are fan bases
Okay,
that's
are we
hyping
gonna
on him.
ignore one of them champions was Jeff Horn?
I mean, but see, you got to think. See, you talking to a guy that at his core was an Earl Spence fan. This is why I be trying to say I'm speaking objectively, bro. I'm
Well,
not
I
trying to
get it, but we
tiptoe
got to use
side.
context, bro. Like Jeff Horn is really the same. He might actually be worse than Lima, if we're being honest. I think Lima's a better fighter than Jeff Horn.
AC, where you at? You gonna let him get away with this slander, man? Hold on, man. Lima is
I'm
better
not,
than Jeff
bro.
Horn,
I'm
bro.
dead serious, bro. Jeff Horn is not a
Come
good
on,
fighter,
bro.
bro.
Jeff Horn just, I mean, we saw it.
He's
I
a
mean,
C-level fighter at
we
best.
had Manny Pacquiao. I mean, that a lot of people say that one when
Manny was little, like he was bullying man, but he wasn't like out there outclassing Manny Pacquiao or outboxing him. He was just
but
bullying the
we
little
can't
motherfucker.
say that though. With Lima,
Bro.
because look, this
To
is the
say
other
he
thing.
rescindies that, man. I'm sitting here talking, and I didn't even realize I had my joint on mute. But Dirk, understand this, man. Jeff Horn was the guy everybody was chasing. Errol Spence was chasing him. Everybody wanted to fight Jeff Horn when Jeff Horn got that belt. You feel what I'm saying? And he beat Manny Pacquiao up. He did. He
did not
did
beat
what
him,
you.
man. If anything, he
Listen,
might have robbed Pacquiao.
No, that wasn't a robbery. He got beat up, bro. That's what that was. So at the end of the day, when we look at what Rescindies did to Caleb Plant, that is the same thing Jeff Horn did to. I disrupted your flow by making it extremely rough. I made the ref do his job. There are plenty of fighters that were good for stuff like that. Some of the great legends were good for making a ref actually do his job every minute of every round. Because the minute you give me a break, I'm gonna punch this dude, or I might slip him an elbow, or I might shoulder bump him something.
Okay, but
I may
listen to what you just said.
We in the clinch.
But listen to what you just said. You didn't say anything about skill or ability.
It
You
didn't
basically
have
just
to
said
do
he's
with
strong
anything
arm.
with skill or ability.
You
takes a
basically
skill,
just said
and it
he's
does-
strong arm
understand what I'm
Pacquiao,
saying.
bro.
Understand what I'm saying? and
That's
stop
what you
reacting.
said.
Understand what I'm saying and stop reacting. I need you to reply. What I'm saying is this: you do need skills to disrupt a good boxer or a great boxer's rhythm and mindset. You have to be relentless with that shit. You feel what I'm saying? And there's two things that happen: either you rough them up, or you just got that kind of punching power that dude just says, if I engage, I know this dude is gonna tag me.
Well,
And that's how it tends to happen. It's either
AC.
power or you rough the guy up. Roughing the
AC,
guy up
my argument
is
was
an old school tactic.
my argument was Lima is a more technical fighter than Jeff Horn.
It
And then
doesn't
you add
matter.
the fact that he's a bigger.
But
No,
that
hold
does
on.
not.
Let me
see,
finish. Let me finish, and then you can rebuttal. And you add the fact that he's a bigger and stronger man than Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn will get beat up by Lima. I'm willing to bet on that.
So at the end of the day, how does that affect how Boots is doing? I don't want to have the side argument and the semantic argument
thought
of
Jeff
who's
Horn is
better
your first
between
fight.
them.
You're like,
I'd rather
he
stay
take a
on
risk.
topic. I'd rather stay on topic and say this. At the end of the day, if I'm giving my young fighter who's not athletically inclined like Boots Ennis, because again, I give Boots the credit. I give him the eye test. I give him everything else. My argument is, and you've heard me retract it, and I said, listen, you finally given us close to a 50-50 fight in Stanionis. That's the closest you've gotten to a 50-50 fight as far as any of the fans that we know.
It was an easy fight too.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. The point is you gave us something. You weren't under the rehydration clause. You looked phenomenal in that fight. You won that fight handily. Nobody can take that victory away from you. What we're saying now is if that's what you proved to us when you were in a 50-50 or close to a 50-50 fight, as far as the fan base was concerned, why would you then go up there and fight Lima?
I can tell you why. I can rebuttal that. Look, first of all, Lima was not their first option. People act like he was. They were trying to fight Boachuk, but Boachuk and their team felt fighting on Terrence Crawford's Canelo card was better exposure for them. Plus, they wanted to re-avenge the Brandon Adams loss. Turns out that was a stupid decision because you could have got paid way more losing to Boots Ennis than getting beat up by Brandon Adams. Congratulations, you played yourself. Two, they also tried to fight Jesus Ramos, but Jesus Ramos is going up to 60. And there was a couple other people that I forget, but Lima was not the first option. So
Okay,
that's
so
a misconstrued.
understand what I'm
And
saying to you.
But this,
Neither one of those names was a champion. When you could have directly fought either Yoenis Tellus, because you were the A side to every one of those names with name recognition. Every current champion that's at 54 right now, you are the A side to all of them. You are
that's
the
okay.
A side
You're
to
going to
all
fight
of
somebody
them.
better
So
than
the point is
Tellez.
this. So the point is this. Regardless of what people were trying to say Lubin was doing and yada yada yada, Yoenis Tellus, you could have fought Yoenis Tellus.
But Dirk, this is the thing though. See, this is why I say for me, and you gotta understand, I'm being objective with this. Like at 54, right? Everybody was talking because remember, let's walk it back. Remember, Buta just did this, right? We said that was his rite of passage, right? Because he unified, and it looked like he was 2/4 of the way there. It was only 2 other belts, so everybody was like, okay, especially myself. I'm like, okay, he really do want to get undisputed, dude. It was untimely to just pop up at 54. And the thing is, they say that they knew a month out, right? The team say that they knew a month out. That's what word on the street is. They knew a month before they was going to do that. There were people at 54 that was already making fights and matching themselves and already doing behind negotiations and all that. So when Boots popped up, it was like, oh shit, he popped up. Like everybody was already having their plans. This is why I be trying to say it didn't make no sense, the timing in which he announced he moved up. So some of that is like, you know, somebody got to take accountability for the fact that he popped up out of nowhere. Everybody thought he was going to go for undisputed at 47, and it looked like he was on his way. Then all of a sudden, like, nope, we got an announcement. We're moving to 54. So that means everybody had to start scrambling in plans that was probably already made, not knowing that Boots was there. People had to make business decisions. Do I want to do this or do I want, like, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand that part of it?
But I also get it that if you can't make the weight, you can't make the weight. That's
Okay,
why he
so
didn't fight Devin.
That part is irrelevant.
That's why he didn't fight Teofimo. That's why he didn't fight any of them guys at 40, because he couldn't even, if it would Mario Barros, if he would have sent out an offer to Boots Ennis, they would have turned it down. He can't make the weight. It's not worth it. So I'm not scared of these little dudes, bro. Like, by the way, when you said earlier about Devin Haney being more accomplished than Boots, that shit don't mean nothing to me. Like, my eyes tell me what I know. Boots is a better fighter than Devin Haney, and you know that. You know, both of y'all know that Boots is a better fighter than Devin Haney.
But listen, in any other conversation, I'm with you. Like, I think Boots will beat the shit. Like, I'm trying, and this is what I be trying to tell Boots fans or any fan, like, whenever we're trying to have objective conversations, you gotta be objective, my guy. Because it's not like me. You see, you think a lot like me when it came down to a lot of the Bud stuff early on. I think the same way. I was looking at it from like the Spence thing. Like, even with the Devin and the Boots thing. I'm looking at it like, man, Boots will beat the shit out of Devin. But I gotta look at it objectively, bro. It's like you did, because this is like that's my point number 2. This is what I be trying to say. It'd be hard because in your instance, when it came down to Boots, you don't want to you can't really answer why they slandered the Normans like 3 weeks before he fought Jin Sasaki. And then you justifying that he could not make the weight. But see, that's you having it both ways as a Boots fan. You can't have it both ways.
The Normans is playing games, bro. They literally fought a week within each other. Boots fought in, I believe, in March. No, actually April.
But didn't B. Norman say, hold on, didn't Brian Norman say, right after the Jin Sasaki fight, it's on June 19th, Juneteenth, the 12 o'clock, 12:01, we can sit down, you can chop it up, I'll sign whatever y'all want me to sign. But let me stay
Yeah,
focused
right.
on this. Just like when they was asking Boots about all of these fights after he was supposed to fight Stanionis, he was like, right now my mind is only on Stanionis. That's the only person I think of, and respectfully, I just only want to talk about Stanionis. Everybody gave him a break on that. Me and Body cooked on that, but they're not. But from the Philadelphia fan base with some of the fans, and rightfully so, y'all should be ride or die with your guy. You feel what I'm saying? It's at least be objective enough to say, yeah, that was a little shady. You don't have to call him out, but just say that's in a little gray area right there for me as a fan to say, you know, you you got the carte blanche when you was going up against Stanionis and stuff like that, but um, Phenom Jr. doesn't get that carte blanche when it came down to you. So that's kind of where we have all of these little receipts that me and Body actually, like he likes to say, put stake in the ground and have actual video footage where we cooked on some of these points. And that's why it may sound like we're being critical on them, but we are to a certain degree, or at least on my half, I am being critical to a certain degree because some of the things you're doing is a constant disappointment for me as being a fan of yours. I want to see
I
you do
think
better.
I
I
think
believed in you. I believed in you when you were coming up, and when I saw what you did to Lipinets, and then I saw what you did to Costio Clayton and the other guys. I was like, yeah, I'm riding with this dude. Give me give me the Blair Cobb fight. Give me the Conor Ben fight before Conor Ben popped dirty. When
Blair
that was the
Cobb.
fight that was in the ethos that you heard me say it because me and you cooked on it on B-Max joint when we was like, yeah, he should go over there. And you said, yeah, I kind of agree he should go over there and fight Conor Ben. And this is when Keith Thurman was talking about fighting Conor Ben, and he asked for that weird ass 10 million. But me and you were two people who were on that panel that day asking for Boots to go overseas. If you're not gonna do Blair Cobb, then go overseas and do Conor Ben.
I mean, all them fights are still possible, including Brian Norman. Brian could easily move up to 54 after Devin. All that shit.
But did you
Oh,
think? Let me ask you this question. It's just a question of tale of two Eddie. Did you think that Boots being signed to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, we were not going to get at least between the first or second fight, or after he got through this bullshit with Karan, that we were going to get a Conor Ben versus Jaron Boots Ennis, maybe at 47 or at 54 if they meet at 54.
I think that when Boots first offered it, that was the best time for that fight to happen at that time. But you know what? I think, to be honest with you, I think it's better that the fight didn't happen back then, because right now that fight, especially if Brian Norman beats Dev, that fight's bigger than ever. It's a
Who
it's
are
a
you
much
talking
bigger.
about? The Dev? You talking about Brian Norman versus
Yeah,
Boots, or you talking
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brian
Conor
Norman
Ben
versus
versus Boots?
Boots. If that fight is now bigger than ever,
You
and
think
Boots
Boots goes back
and
down to 54?
no, Brian's coming up to 54. Boots is the A style. What are we talking about? Uh, Brian would have
If
to come up to
if
54.
Brian Norman
Beats
beats
Devin.
Devin Haney, there may be a heavy discussion on who's on
No, they
the
won't,
inside of that.
because Brian Norman is yet to headline one single fight
It
as a
doesn't
main
matter.
event. No,
He just beat the guy, and understand what the terminology that I'm using. He's the guy that cleaned up all the fuckery that was going on at 35 with the franchise champion, and that belt robbing Teofimo Lopez his true calling of being undisputed and lineal champion. So being that belt is gone, that I give that credit to Devin Haney. I say that's the best thing for me as a
okay,
as a
that's
heavy
cool,
fan of
but
yours. I give you that you clean that up for me, and then to go up and do the Loma thing and then fight Regis. It makes it hard for me to actually say, all right, you may got the bigger name, but
my
this guy is
man,
actually
and that's
he
all that
just beat the
matters is
better
who has the bigger
competition.
name.
He just beat the
We're
better
not talking about
competition, though.
accomplishments. Since
Oh,
when does
He
Dirk.
just beat the
accomplishments
Oh,
better
Dirk.
competition. That's
Dirk.
the point.
Dirk. You
that
know you
don't
done
mean
fucked
nothing?
up. Dirk. You know you fucked up, Dirk. You asked me
No, I did not
earlier.
fuck up.
Yeah,
Just
you
because
did. You
you
said you
just
beat me,
because you quote unquote beat a bigger name does not mean that you're the A side in when we come to the table.
okay, hold on,
Oh,
Okay, so all right, hold on. Let me ask you a question.
You
Let me ask
I
you a
gotta
question.
you
mute
can't
up
sell your
for
own
this.
living room, bro. What are we
I gotta
talking about?
mute up and let y'all go
Set
at
this to
it.
the side. Let's set this question to the side. Who do you think? Which one is a bigger win? Uh, Boots unifying with Stan Giannis, or let's hypothetically say Brian Norman beats Devin. Which one is a better win?
I mean, obviously, being Dev is a bigger name, but that doesn't change the fact that you are relatively unknown. You have never headlined anything. We don't even know if you can sell your own living room. So no, bro, you're not gonna be the A side.
Okay, so hold on,
On paper, technically, we've achieved the same thing.
hold on. So, if my memory serves me correct, right? Did Brian Norman go over to Japan and have a shot of gin?
Yeah, who, by the way, if
Hold
Boots would have fought Jin
on.
Sasaki,
Who
yes, he
headlined that?
did. But I'm saying if Boots would have fought Jin Sasaki, who'd been knocked out before, I would be saying he's cherry picking.
Dirk, man, don't tell me you like doing the
That's the truth.
typewriter, brother. You just
No, that's the
you
truth.
just
If
ran
Boots
down
would
the
have fought a
headline. He
Jin
went over to a
Sasaki,
whole
y'all
different
niggas would
country.
say he's cherry picking, bro. Like, come on, man, miss me with that.
Huh? Oh
I said
man.
y'all gotta miss me with that, bro, because
Yeah,
Jin
listen.
Sasaki
You
is
are, hey
literally.
Dirk, you are becoming masterful at arguing the semantics. You move, you move the goalpost and then argue the semantics of that moving of the goalpost. You
I'm
are,
not moving
yo,
the
bro.
goalpost, bro.
Congratulations, bro. I gotta give you, that learned skill
I
of
should
a
have been a lawyer.
crafted debater.
So after this Lima fight, right? And I'm gonna talk about Lima and my issue with Lima. But after the Lima fight, you're saying that he's in negotiations with Bakram?
No, after this fight with Lima, he's most likely gonna be ordered to fight Abbas.
Oh, okay. The one who beat
The dude that just beat Telez.
Okay.
So and then he's in negotiations with Bakram to unify after that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you think
that's
you like that fight with Abbas?
yeah, because he's a champion and he beat Telez. Like, and that's a solid win. Absolutely. And he beat the dude that
Hold on.
he
Let's
beat.
rewind back to the Bud moving up and fighting. You said because he's a champion. That's what we said about him, bro. We said he moved up and got a champion.
I'm not exaggerating, bro. Abbas is a way better fighter than fucking Jeff Horn. He really is, bro. He would beat the dog shit out of Jeff Horn.
But my point, like, see, you are pretty darn clever, my friend. Just my mind is a very advanced computer, my friend. I said, listen, the reason why I said you're being compared to a fan base in Bud's fan base to where when he move up, he fight a champion. When he move up, he fight a champion. And I said when Bud moved up, he got Horn, and then he moved up and Madrimov, and then he jumped up. I didn't even get to this part. Then he jumped up and he got Canelo. So that's what the fan bases are comparing. They're comparing, and you discounted the first one when I said Horn, and I said, but that was the champion. You like, man, but come on. And then you went into something else. So with the fan bases, people are wondering, okay, if Boots is this big bad man, why is he not moving up and just getting these guys right away? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Abbas and Lima, they kind of look like they tailor-made. They like tailor-made.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. You can say the same thing about Jeff Horn and Mean Machine.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So like people while Earl was fighting Danny Garcia and Ugas and Sean Porter, Crawford was fighting an old washed up Amir Khan. He was fighting Mean Machine and he was fighting Jeff Horn. And guess what? And Benavidez. But guess what? I still pick Crawford to win to beat Earl Spence. You know why? Eye test, talent for talent, skill for skill. It was apparent Bud was way more talented and skilled than Errol Spence, and it's the same thing with Boots. So like, I don't want to hear all who the hell's Lima, who's the boss. Like, bro, at the end of the day, when he fights these dudes, Virgil Ortiz and Bacron, he gonna beat the dog shit out of him because he's a more skilled fighter. It's that simple.
Just make it different.
Hey,
Oh my god.
Don't come on and debate with me, bro. I do this, bro.
this is not
Bro,
even a
it's not a
debate,
debate.
brother.
It
This
was
is
a
not even a
conversation.
debate, man.
That's
This
why
not
you
it. This is not a debate, man. You sound like one of these guys. You sound like the guys that I'm trying to get to understand this video, man. Like, you sound like the people that, I guess I am serving my purpose, because the mindset that you have and how you're carrying it are the very people that I'm speaking to, bro. It's like when they compare this guy to Roy Jones, and they say, oh man, he's like, I heard earlier today they were saying this man is a hybrid of Roy Jones and Pernell. And I said,
oh shit.
I had to come out the video and come back in, and I was like, who are they talking about? Then I came out and I came back in. I'm like, they saying Boots is a combination of Roy
Boots has a
Jones.
little bit. Boots has a little bit of everybody in his. He's the perfect incarnation of the African American style, bro. He has a little bit of all them guys in his style. Roy, a little bit of Pernell, a little bit of Floyd, a little bit of Bud, all them guys, bro. He's got
So when we gonna see it?
and I think we're gonna see it at
In
154.
30
The
some
reason,
fights, we ain't seen it yet.
We gonna
look,
see
bro,
it.
we all know Boots is a fighter that relies on his athleticism. Yes, he's very skilled, but his athleticism is probably his most important attribute. And when you're cutting to make weight and it's hurting you, it's gonna make that suffer.
I'm gonna say
Which
this.
in turn,
Go ahead. Go ahead. My
yeah,
bad.
in turn, it's gonna make your defense suffer too. Because if you rely on your reflexes as part of your defense, if your weight drained, that's gonna make that your what's the word I'm looking for? Your reaction time ain't gonna be the same. Your timing ain't gonna be the same. Your power at 47 is not gonna be the same. Even your stamina is not gonna be good. So I think at 154 and 160, y'all gonna see the real version of Boots. That is my opinion.
Did you see? I think it's not Matchroom, or it's somebody that put out a video, and the title of the video, but it's one of the UK. It's either Frank Warren or Matchroom. I think Frank Warren, signs Lima. Am I correct in saying that? Is Lima
Right now, I
signs?
think Lima's a free agent, but did he sign recently? Because I'm pretty sure he's a free agent.
Okay, but either way, I don't recall. I'd have to actually go into my YouTube history, where one of these UK boxing promotions has a video saying Canelo just taught Boots Ennis how to lose to Osama Lima, and I was
Yeah, he
like,
said that.
oh, I was like, oh shit, that's crazy work.
Yeah, he really believed in himself, bro. Like, he's not coming to lay down against Boots. So people think
Let me
yeah.
let me get to where I was going with it. But my point is this: I saw someone try to do a fight breakdown using a fight with Lima against this tall white guy, and I saw some things that Lima did against the taller white guy that I was like, those are the things that you have to do if you're going to beat Boots. You have to throw more than one jab at him. Double and triple up your jab just to get on the inside, because he panics when people crowd his space. Other fighter that panic when people crowd their face, I've noticed my guy Hamza has that issue, because 3 fights you showed me you're touched when people get in your space. Diego Pacheco showed signs of that against late in the fight when he fought Soko. I guess they figured that out. Getting
Can you
on
give me
the
an
inside
example
of him
of
because
that? Can you give real quick before you keep going? Can you give me an example of a fight where that happened to Boots?
No, I
can't
mean, no,
think of.
no, Dirk. See, I guess it's the fandom, and like we don't doubt that Boots is not skilled. What we're
Best
saying is
work when
like
they're on the inside.
the
But
thing is this. Like I know for me, when I looked at Lima, I said, man, this dude don't even know. If you ever asked him, dude, you know how to get on the balls of your feet? He probably be like, balls on my feet. What? Like I would probably have to sit down, get an interpreter, or have somebody else explain to him that you have balls of your feet. You must stay on top of them so you can be shifty. You can move. This guy do not know how to do that. He's flat-footed. Like he
he
can't
is.
even get his head off the line. He don't even move, bro. Like it's
No,
gonna
that's
be
his biggest thing. Yeah,
this
he
the
can,
thing, man. He
like,
gonna
he'll come
Boots
in
gonna
straight
knock
up
his
and
head
he'll
off
back
in the
up straight up.
stands, bro.
Yeah.
Like he's right there. Like he ain't like he's gonna be right there, flat-footed, planting. He's probably gonna. It's gonna be double impact. He's gonna be leaning into some shit, and
my
Boots gonna be doing
criticism
this.
is gonna be my criticism is gonna be this. He does some things that could give Boots trouble. If he makes Boots look bad and Boots has to go the distance with him, we have to question certain things. If I'm like looking at this guy technically, athletic wise, and everything. Boots, honestly, I think you should get this guy out of there in 7 or less. I'll give you carte blanche of 8. You feel what I'm saying? But it's going to be tough for me to watch this fight if you're still in there and it's the 8th round. And I just
See, now that's unfair because
no, it's not unfair.
no, the reason I'm saying it's unfair.
The way you talk about him, that's exactly what fans should be looking at, because at the end of the day, the way this guy fights, technically, when you look at him, he does some things good, but his footwork is shitty. His head is always on the line. Boots is a great counterpuncher. When this guy comes in and he shoots his 1-2, if he hasn't fixed those flaws, Boots is going to counter him to death. It's not even going to be close. It's not even going to be close. And if we're saying someone is tailor-made for someone, and you have the ability to stop that person, then you stop that person. I'm not talking about a one-hitter quitter knockout. It could be a technical knockout. You just put enough hands on him that the ref says, you know what, young man, I just want you to survive. You put up a good showing. Continue your boxing career.
The reason I say it's unfair is because if you watch Lima throughout his whole career, he's never been hurt or wobbled. Even when he went up in weight against a good fighter, he was an underdog to McKenna, the big white boy that you were talking about. People expected him to lose that fight. People thought it was going to be a wash, but it was actually very competitive.
Yes,
McKenna never hurt him. McKenna never backed him up. If anything, there were times in there where Lima was the one bullying McKenna. So people were thinking McKenna might be a hype job after that fight with Lima.
But this is why.
Let me finish, because I'll let you finish.
Go ahead.
People thought McKenna might be a hype job after that fight, and then McKenna fights Liam Smith on the Riyadh season, and he looks spectacular. So that tells us that Lima is actually a pretty good fighter, bro. For him to go up to 160 and give a top contender like McKenna problems should tell you that he's a tough and durable dude if he can go up to 160 and take them punches. So if Boots goes 12 with this dude, I'm not going to be shocked, bro. If anything, it's normal. Nobody knocks out everybody. I don't know why we hold Boots to that standard, but show me a fighter that knocks out everybody.
Man, you pulling out all the stops, Dirk.
Bro, no, I was not. It's the honest truth, bro, and it's common sense. It's show me a fighter that knocks out everybody, bro. It doesn't happen.
Again, that's an argument of the semantics.
Did you say he was the combination of who?
I didn't say that. You read that. You read that on Twitter or something. I didn't say that.
Nobody, bro.
You said you felt Boots was the embodiment of the
African American style, which is the truth. He is.
All right.
I didn't
I
say
haven't
I
seen
didn't
that
say he's
yet.
Roy
He
Jones
don't fight the
2.0.
level of competition that lets me know that. So I don't know what the fuck you
I
doing.
mean, bro, we gonna see, bro. I mean, I think resume thing is overrated, anyways. I think
Oh, the resume thing is
Crawford,
overrated.
Crawford exposed that with Canelo. He's like, "Well, dude, you fight with nobody." And then, okay, what did Bud say? When I beat you, is you gonna be a nobody? When I stump a mud hole in your ass, is you gonna be a nobody? So y'all can keep talking about Boots fight nobody, bro. He just make him look like nobody, like Roy Jones used to say.
See, that's
No,
He say
not
I
that's
what
fight
not
I
what
nobody,
they
I
said
just make
said.
him
though.
look like
No,
nobody.
no,
But see,
no.
Dirk,
Yeah.
that's not what we said though. This what I be trying to say. That's what I don't understand. We didn't say that he fight nobody. We didn't
My
say that.
Canelo voice, dude, you fight with nobody. But go ahead.
And I guess I mean you gonna I guess if he's gonna try to follow that Bud blueprint, man. I mean,
He's
man,
gonna be bigger than Bud. He's
Mm-mm.
gonna be more popular than Bud too. Is he gonna be more accomplished than Bud? I don't know about that, but he's gonna be a bigger name than Bud, a bigger star. He got opportunity to do that because Boots is lucky that he's in his prime when Turkey came around. Bud, Bud didn't have that opportunity. Turkey came around when he was like 36, 35. Like he was already old.
Nah, Turkey
Boots has
been
an
around for a
opportunity to
minute.
take advantage of this. So
Turkey been
if
around
Boots is
for
the
a
real
minute
deal, bro,
because
he's got an opportunity to probably have a better resume
Dirk,
than Bud when it's all said
Dirk,
and done.
Turk been
I'm
around
dead
since
serious.
Andy Ruiz and AJ2. Remember that fight happened in Saudi.
When was that?
His
What was it, like
first
5
test.
years
That was
ago?
his first. That was the Turk's first big venture in championship boxing and big
Yeah,
card
but Bud
fight.
wasn't involved back then.
Huh?
Bud wasn't involved with them back then.
Yeah. He
I
met.
think he
He got up with the Turk after that fight because that's when he
okay.
was talking about the Kenahan situation. Because Bud did fly out to Saudi Arabia to meet the Turk after the AJ fight.
Well, either way, man, my point still stands. Boots has an opportunity to take advantage of Turk and the influence they got in boxing right now and make these big fights.
Yeah.
And he'll have he could potentially if he's the real deal, he could potentially have a better resume than Bud.
With two
Don't mean he's
tune
a
up,
better fighter than Bud.
with two
I
tune
mean we
ups
don't know.
and a juice box, he everything you say. Two tune ups in a juice box.
Nah, bro, he never said anything about no damn tuna, bro. Like if you listen, really, they view Boachuk as a tuna. People weren't paying attention to that part though. But Boachuk and them didn't want that fight because they know stylistically Boots would beat the dog shit out of Boachuk. They know that. They should have went that route though. But it is what it is.
Yeah, they should have went that route. They could have revisited Charles Conwell. They could have did a whole bunch
Charles
of
Conwell was offered a fight at 54.
huh?
Charles Conwell is coming off a loss. I don't think he wants to take 2 losses in a row. A guy like him, he can't afford 2 losses in a row.
I don't know, bro.
He's at a point of his career where another loss will like. Also, if you know anything about Charles Conwell and Boots, that's one of the sparring partners. I'm just saying, Boots used to beat the dog shit out of Charles Conwell. That's what I heard. So I don't think they just gonna walk into that fight with Boots unless they.
But he sent him an offer when he was at 47.
No, when he first got to 54.
But
When
he
he
sent
announced
him
that
an
he's going.
offer when he was at 47.
I think they did offer him a long time ago when he was still at 47 also, and they turned it
that's
down.
what I just said.
Yeah, but they turned that one down, and then they turned the one when he got to 54 as well.
I didn't hear two. I only heard one.
They rather fight Virgil because that's a more winnable
Because
fight.
by the time he got up to 54, he had already lost, and you just said, why would he do that coming off a loss? So if he got up to 54,
I'm saying
he got up to
they
54.
were offered two offers. One when he was at 47, and then one when he got up to 54.
I believe Conwell already had a loss when he got up to 54.
Yeah, and I don't think they're interested in taking another one
So I don't think they would have
or risking another one.
according to what you just said.
Look, man, if you know anything, that fight would be a brutal fight. It would take out a lot out of Conwell. I don't think they want to do that right now. That's not smart.
So are you So, a long story short, you saying Boots is being strategic right now, Dirk?
No, I mean, yeah, they're all being strategic to a certain extent. I mean, even Bud fighting Canelo was strategic. Like uh, they realized, I'm not trying to take away from Bud. Hear me out. Canelo is not the same guy he was, bro. Everybody's seen that. Like he just not. And to be fair to Bud, like he's not in his prime either. The man is 38 years old, but like he's also not a big 68 pounder. You're not gonna see Bud in the ring with Benavidez anytime soon. Or
But
even a guy like Caleb Plant. That motherfucker's too big.
But this the thing, man. I don't think Boots. I mean, I'm not sure if Boots and them really. They gotta stop saying that Bud stuff, man. They gotta kind of stop saying that, man.
It's good for Boots. That's good publicity. Like the Bud fans don't like it, but it's actually good publicity for Boots.
Man, when you coming up and you dipping your toe in the water and you like the Bud fans are gonna shut that shit all the way down, bro. Like
It's good to have your name attached to Bud. It's like Michael Jordan, LeBron James. Like it's good to have your name attached to that. And let the fans go at each other. Let them that actually just boosts his name, if anything. So it's actually a positive thing. It's no such thing as negative publicity in this sport.
It's okay to clout chase, basically.
I mean, in boxing, yeah, because the worst thing you can be in boxing is irrelevant. So if they talking about you, bro, that's a good thing. So yes, if you want to call it clout chasing, so be it. You notice, and speaking of Devin Haney and them, you notice nobody talking about that fight because don't nobody give a damn about Brian Norman and Devin Haney. That's the real reason. That motherfucker will never be the face of boxing. He could fight Brian Norman. He could fight my grandma, bro. It don't matter, bro. He's a boring fighter. He's a boring person. There's nothing interesting about Devin Haney. This is not hate. It's just the truth, bro. Like you could never be the face of boxing. Sorry.
It's that's debatable. I mean, not as far as Devin being the face. No, I'm not saying that. But as far as we on this thing now where people be talking about legacy versus money, and when we get the legacy fights or the fights that really mean something that could really shape the sport, because you gotta think that's still the glamour division. And a lot of stock left when Boots decided he moved up. So, I mean, it's a big fight as far as the sport and being in the glamour division. And it's a legacy fight. So people be trying to say, "Oh man, I'm all about legacy and fuck this, not about the money." It's like, no, that's one of the biggest legacy fights out here, and ain't nobody really giving it the justice that it needs. You know what I'm saying? So,
I mean, if we playing by that same token, bro, like. Who has Brian Norman really beat? Okay, you beat Santillan. Okay, who has he beat?
Dirk, you know you fucked up, right? You just told me you see.
Because if we playing that same, if we hold Boots to that standard,
Bud just proved that shit didn't do this. It's like,
well, no, what I'm saying, if we hold Boots to that standard. If we hold Boots to that standard, why can't we do a Brian Norman in them?
You can't pick and choose. So you see, that's why I said this is why I took the structure out of the content today, because it's like you can't you keep, you know what I'm saying? You keep ping ponging me, man. So
no, I'm saying because if Boots held to that standard, why can't we hold Brian Norman to that standard, bro? Like who has Brian Norman really beat? Jin Sasaki? Jin Sasaki been knocked out by a 40-pounder. Did y'all know that?
Yeah, when he was at 40, when he was in that division. Jin Sasaki
and when you watch them fight, he's one of the lowest IQ fighters I ever seen, bro.
Dirk. I did a lot of research on Jin. Body will tell you I was going in thinking that Jin was going to do way better than what he did. But Jin, this is 47 is his actual third division. He fought Andy Hiroka at 40 when he was a 140-pound fighter. He moved up to fight Andy Hiroka against his team and everybody, saying, listen, that dude is number one. He's number one for a reason. You're not going to beat him. Jin was like, I'm too powerful. I'm too strong. I can beat him. Look at what happened.
Bro, he has no boxing IQ whatsoever. He's just explosive
That
and he's
doesn't.
strong. That's it.
But at the end of the day, Jin Sasaki is extremely famous, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say on him. He's extremely famous in Japan because he has that he has the samurai warrior attitude. He's like, I don't really give a fuck about the level of competition, win or lose. I'm just here to fight and give you guys a great show. And the Japanese fans, as well as the Mexican fans, as well as the UK fans, all love that attitude, except us American fans. A fighter can come out and have that attitude, and then we'll talk shit about him and question who did he fight, and this person who has a bigger name at the moment is much better, and yada yada yada. So sometimes we get the different dynamics of the fan bases being the loudest and controlling the narrative at any given point of any given fighter, to tie it back to some of the talking points we were able to go over in this conversation. And you represent a fan base that is necessary for Boots to rise to the level of stardom that you see him rising to. So the type of fan you are for him, I understand. I laugh at it. I agree with it. It may have been a little annoying when I first met you and shit like that, but I understand who you are, and I understand the level of fan you are and shit like that. And at the end of the day, we had a commonality, and both of us agreed. Both of us were back in Terrence Crawford. You have your issues with Terrence Crawford, but you backed him in that same situation. So at the end of the day, it was just like, you know what? I can always respect Dirk's opinion. Bodywork has a different opinion about Devin Haney. I respect his opinion about Devin Haney because the things that he says about him, as a fan of Devin Haney, I can't deny and say, nah, Body, nah, you bugging, cause and then I'll represent that dynamic of that type of fan. You feel what I'm saying? So whenever Devin Haney comes up in the conversation, we'll probably be like going back at it, have that little side note dispute, and then get back on topic. But I get it. You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's just we're the two type of guys that are just a little bit more realistic and carry a bit more criticism for our fans, for our favorite fighter, even if we see them in a situation that, yeah, I could easily be this guy, but I'll choose to be the fan that says, nah, that was wrong. He actually lost that fight. I had him losing that fight on the scorecards. That
Against
was a
Loma?
clear decision. So,
No, he just said
if Dev look as if Dev was a special fighter, bro, and I understand how good Lomachenko is, don't get it twisted. But if Dev is a special fighter, he should have watched Lomachenko, maybe even stopped him. Because there's no way you putting a Floyd Mayweather or a Terrence Crawford in the ring with a smaller fighter, much smaller fighter, regardless of how skilled he is, and it's a competitive fight. It's not gonna happen. Or even dare I say Boots. Boots, you're not putting Boots in there with a guy that much smaller than he is, and he's not dog walking the fight, bro. Like, what are we talking about? So that, to me, that should have been a red flag if you're a Devin Haney fan. But the real red flag was when he fought Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz buzzed Devin Haney multiple times in that fight, despite being a non-puncher and a very small man who started at 130. You should be able to walk a dude like that down, bro. Like, you should
none of
bully
that
him.
really matters to me because at the end of the day, I do not have Devin Haney beating Brian Norman. I think Brian Norman is going to stop him. I'm pretty much sure Brian Norman is going to stop him. But for me, Devin may have reached his ceiling. I think he'll still be viable after this loss. It might be a turning point for him. Just like we watched Joseph Parker go through a turning point, just like we watch many other fighters who go through a loss or a hard knockout and then reach a turning point. Shit happened with Lennox Lewis. So, different situations cause different things to come out. And if you're a champion and you are great, just because you've been stopped in a fight, you feel what I'm saying? I'm not going to discredit anything you did moving forward on your path to become great, especially if you're doing great things that make things happen. And just to answer uh, Devonto F, basically everything that Devin Haney does wrong, all of his flaws, are the things that going into a fight with a guy who can box, who does have an IQ, does have footwork, who's naturally a 147 pounder. Look at his last three performances. They're all stoppages since he's got his hand fixed. Yes, Devin Haney is a much, much better boxer. You're not going to beat Devin Haney trying to outbox Devin Haney. He's just pretty much shown that over and over. As long as Devin Haney chooses to box, you're not going to beat him. The issue is I have when I look at Devin Haney's performances, right? Even though we had Austrian Ryan, you feel what I'm saying? We had that situation when Dev chose to box him. He was actually winning rounds. You feel what I'm saying? And doing great work on him. When he chose to stand in there and try to fight him, going by that Floyd Mayweather lesson that we all saw that video. At some point, you have to stop boxing and fight somebody because they're gonna pressure you to do that. You got to learn how to do that.
I
When
mean,
he did
is
that,
Brian
that's when
Norman
he
the
was put
one
on
that
his-
can
that's
force
when he was
that?
put on his ass back. Brian
I don't
Norman
think Brian
has-
Norman can force him to do that.
Understand what I'm saying. That's your opinion. I have my opinion. When the fight plays out, we will see whose opinion actually plays out. I could see my path to seeing Devin Haney win is when I was looking at Devin Haney throw that triple jab and he had good feet and he was using angles and shit like that. That Devin Haney I have not seen in a very, very, very long time. Not even going back to when he fought Zora Abdullah. That Devin Haney wasn't there because he was more flat-footed in that Zora Abdullah fight, and that's where he chose to stay with that particular style. And where he gets caught at is Devin Haney has a good high guard when he's ducking up under stuff and when you're in close. You feel what I'm saying? But when he ducks under a punch and he goes back into his stance is a lazy shoulder roll or Philly shell. So when he goes back into that stance, that's when he's backing out, and his two hands, if I could turn on my camera, his hands are both low. Both side of his face is exposed. When you look at the main punches that were catching him, the left hook was catching him in the Ryan fight, but it was the right hook that was doing a lot of damage. So at the end of the day, every time he chooses to go back into that stance or for coming off of his high guard, he is fully exposed. And he has not corrected that. So these are things that worry me when you're talking about a kid who believes in himself, believes in his championship, believes in his power, believes in his skill. He is going to control where this fight is. Devin's not going to control that because he knows how to slip a jab. So this is going to be, hey, listen. And exactly, Aaron. And there's that, where the Turk is on that no Tom and Jerry fight shit. So listen, I'm a solid fan of Dev. Like I told, excuse me, like I said to Body, I'm gonna be watching that fight with both my hands over my eyes and one just peeking through, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You feel what I'm saying? I just don't think he's my guy, but I just don't see him beating Brian Norman. Brian Norman is in his zone. He's in his place. He's like, look, this is my time. And I'm going to show y'all. Devin Haney was brave enough to make this fight. And congratulations to you, bro. because you went up there and you're fighting the toughest fighter, regardless of what people say. That's the motherfucker right there. You feel what I'm saying? Because he's been on a I'm stopping everything now that my fucking hand is right. And if you listen to this kid's interview, he's like, I'm not about all of that. I'm trying to bring old school boxing back. That type of energy we miss, but yet again, this is the same thing I was talking about when you're talking about different forms of fan bases having the loudest voices. Everyone wants to say Brian Norman ain't shit. Everyone wants to say he ducked boots, to downplay the fact that this kid is doing what we ask him. He's not afraid of no smoke, not to go in anybody's yard. I'll go in your yard, I'll go where you at, and I'll fight you.
I mean, okay, that's cool, but that's because he has no choice.
Regardless.
He can't sell.
Regardless. But Boots can't sell out of Philly.
Okay, but he can still sell. Well, how many people can even sell, period?
Brian Norman has not had a fight in Atlanta.
You say Boots can't sell outside of Philly. How many people can sell, period?
And
like one or two or three or
with the,
Boots is probably
about young fighters. If we're talking about young fighters who have the same recognition as Jaron Boots Ennis, I can name quite a few.
No. The only one that's comparable are probably guys who are upper echelon, like Shakur, Tank. We're talking about American fighters. Shakur, Tank, Earl Spence, and like obviously Crawford, but that goes without saying. That's about it, bro. Like the rest of these guys, they're not main eventers.
Well, you got a young Abdullah Mason who is going.
Abdullah Mason is yet to main event anything, man.
Yeah,
Come on now.
But my point is, they're moving him right. So when he does main event, he's going to main the shit out of that event. Because he steals the events when he's not the main event, bro. He's the nigga everybody talks about.
He main evented the Keyshawn card.
You know, ironically, that's who Abdullah.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
You know, ironically, Keyshawn reminds me of Bud, and Abdullah reminds me of Boots. Like Abdullah is a dynamic, athletic boxer puncher, very explosive, and with long limbs. And Keyshawn is the boxer puncher as well, but he's a little bit more technical and skilled than Abdullah. But I would say Abdullah's got a higher ceiling because of his talent. That's how I view Boots and Bud. So like there's some similarities between them two.
Okay.
I would say Keyshawn definitely got a higher ring IQ than Abdullah Mason for sure. But like I said, I think Abdullah got a higher ceiling.
Wow. Okay.
And I say the same thing about Boots. I think Boots got a higher ceiling than Bud. He just got to put it all together. The only thing I question about Boots is the mental thing. I don't question anything else. The physical, all that stuff is the package is already there.
So what do you question about is mental? Like is he?
It's the mental. Yeah, it's the mental. Yeah. Like, do you have the heart? I think he got heart, but can you make adjustments when you need to in the middle of a fight like Bud has shown many times? Can you adapt to certain styles that That's what we need to see from Boots. That's the only thing I question. Because he got the goods, bro. Everybody sees it.
But you're asking it from a stylistic point. I'm asking it from a level of competition point. Those things that you just want to see, that comes from the level of competition he needs to be fighting so we can see that. We're both saying, now you just admitted to what I've been saying about Boots. You feel what I'm saying? It's the things you just said you want to see in him. You got to admit, that'll be in the level of competition. That'll be if you make the Baccarat fight. That'll be if we get to see you fight Fundora. That'll be if we get to see you fight even a Keith Thurman.
I'm gonna tell you, Dirk. It's the same thing I have been saying about Devin for years, and this is my standard for all of them. I say when you're taller, longer, stronger, longer reach, more athletic, higher IQ, and you have and all the advantages always tipped in your favor, we don't know what you are. And I said it's not gonna be until Devin fights somebody where he don't have the height, he don't have the reach, he don't have all those advantages where he's been more active, he's more athletic, have the higher boxing IQ. It's going to be when we see those advantages kind of like split, to where it's some advantages on this side, some advantages on this side. That's when he went against Ryan. I called it then. This is the same thing I've been saying for Shakur, same thing I've been saying for Boots. I've been saying it for these guys, to where it's like we're not going to know until these advantages are kind of like tipped against them, to where, you know, like I said, like when Buddy asked me how is Norman going to beat Devin, he going to beat him because the same way Ryan did. When see, Devin was used to having a reach on these guys and being bigger than these guys, so when he goes in the hit, he can already move to where they already got to be on it, or he has to be in a defensive posture in order for them to connect with him. The minute he fought Ryan, when he was in range to hit, he was already in range to get hit. He's not used to that. And that's something to where when you always have that advantage and you don't have to worry about it, it's like now when the playing field is more even, now you got to worry about those things. I'm not saying Boots don't have the goods. I'm not saying that, yeah, by the eye test, quote unquote, the eye test, if people want to go by that. I'm not saying that he's not very skilled. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the skills don't jump off the page. I'm just saying that it's not going to be until we see him up against some people where he don't have the height, he don't have the reach. He's not all, well, might be hard to find somebody more athletic than him, but you know what I mean? Where all those advantages are a little bit more mixed. That's when we really going to see what we got. Like right now, he just,
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to find a fighter where Boots don't have majority of advantages over him. Even at 54, like let's say Virgil, for example, Boots gonna have the hand speed advantage. He gonna have the reach advantage. Gonna have the height. Well, they're about the same height. Power is, I think the power is close to the same. If you want to give it to Virgil, I'm not mad at you. But jab, I would say Boots got a better jab than Virgil. Virgil got a power jab. Boots got a very jab. He uses it for range. Footwork, like, you get the point. Like, it's not too many guys at 54 where he wouldn't have a bunch of advantages over. So,
all right, I'm gonna put it like
I get
this.
what you're saying.
I'm gonna put it like this. When them big bright lights came on and Boots was on that undercard, he was on Tank undercard, and he had to fight Karen. And everybody was looking for, betting on the knockout. And Karen came in there with that different footwork. You know what I'm saying? He knew how to pivot. Like, he could pivot, and he made Boots miss a lot, right? But a lot of people was not paying attention on how many times he touched Boots. He touched, like, people wasn't used to seeing Boots get touched as often as Karen did it. So the next time around, they were like, oh, okay, cool. They said Boots wasn't up for it, and they thought Boots was going to fight. I mean, they thought Karen was going to fight the same way. He didn't fight the same way, right? And Boots did a little bit better, but the second time, Karen was cranking Boots. So I'm saying that if Karen would have used that footwork from the first time and he would have had a little more power, that fight would have looked a little different, bro. And I took a lot of heat because when I analyzed the first fight,
to counter Boots.
Huh?
He was trying to counter Boots in that first fight, but Boots wasn't allowing him to counter because Boots will counter his counters. And he said so himself after the fight. They say, why didn't you throw more punches? I said, I was trying to, but every time I would go to counter him after moving out the way, he would counter my counters. So that made me more hesitant to throw punches. And Boots did hurt him in that fight, by the way, the first fight. Also, bro, when you fight a style like that where a nigga is coming to survive, bro, it's hard to look good. Ask Canelo when he fought Skull.
I know, I know, but this is the point, and I understand you gonna go out on your shell for Boots. What I'm saying is this: it's gonna look different when the man starts stepping up to men that's his size, that's gonna reach, like the ones that, like, because right now he just now got out of the whole rehydration thing, and like, I know I'm 5'10", right? They say Boots is like my height. They say he's my height, but they say that he's a big bro, and you're able to start seeing it. It's not gonna be until he's up there with people that's truly his size, like with his reach, You know what I'm saying? To where that's a little more even because Karan was a little smaller than him, but it was the footwork that gave him problems because we seen Boots whiff like the where he completely missed that first time. That second, when you go back and look at that rematch, Karan was cranking Boots. Like he cracked Boots. Like go back. I took a lot of flack for this,
Well,
but I gotta be
I
real,
seen that
man.
fight, and look, you gonna think I'm making excuses, but it's the truth, bro. He was weight draining in that fight, man, and he was the IBF champion at the time. He was having a hard time making weight, and he was on a IBF rehydration clause. So imagine Dev being on a rehydration clause, as big as he was at 135. He could barely make 135. Now I want you to add a rehydration clause on top of that. Dev would have probably died at 135. So Boots, we all see how big he is, bro. I don't know how he made 147. But when you add a rehydration clause on top of that, he like that's why he underperformed against Karen, in my opinion.
But
That's
Dirk,
why he needed to move up, man.
Dirk, here was one of the things that I was saying about Boots. I was like, look, up until he got the IBF belt, he was damn near stopping everything, beating the shit out of everything. You can clearly see that 10-pound difference. Let me know you really ain't got no business at 47. You're not a natural welterweight. I've heard rumors of how big the dude is. Here's something that's just something I put in perspective about Boots. Number one, when you saw those pictures of him standing next to Canelo while they were sparring, Canelo and him are both basically in fighting weight. Canelo was more closer to making his required weight than Boots was, which was 168 pounds. Boots made Canelo look like a little dude. Like Canelo was in a couple of divisions lower than Boots. Just to look at that arm size, I was like, Jesus Christ, look at this kid's arms. Bro, you literally belong at 68 right now. Right now. Like, stop playing, Boots.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That man belongs to 60, bro. At least, bro.
At least 60. And if you're a person that you're in your own camp to fight Lima, and you can go and spar with the 168 pound, undisputed Ring Magazine champ, and that guy says you gave him good work, and then I look at a picture and you're bigger than him, bro. Listen, why are you even fucking around at 54? You could easily go up to 60. You're still the A side to every one of them champions. Go up there and go right after motherfucking Jennebeck, because Jennebeck don't like body shots, and you will eat food all day on Jennebeck's body.
Because, bro, 54 right now is the glamour division that 47 used to be. That's why.
Come on, bro.
It is. That's where all the big, like, Virgil.
Yeah, but he's still squeezing himself down as he's growing for a weight class he don't belong in.
He shouldn't even be growing. He's 28 years old. He should be done. He should be done. Be done growing.
Listen. You go through your Jupiter turn. That's at 27, right? Then somewhere between 31 and 33, you go through another change. You feel what I'm saying? Where you actually start to come into your grown man strength. And that doesn't happen until basically you reach your 30s. You'll find yourself in your 30s like, damn, I feel stronger than I was back when I was a teen. And when I was a teen, I thought I was a gorilla. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he hasn't gotten there yet. So once that 30 hits you, that 30 is what makes motherfuckers that are 33, 31 years old, when they had that kid and they just sit around for a little bit and get that dad bod, that's what that 30 does to you. 27, 28 don't do that. But that 30 will. That 30 is different. That shit hit different. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that dude is going to go through another drastic weight thing, to whereas, 54 ain't going to be an option. You feel what I'm saying? Not even 60 might be an option to where he feels comfortable. That might be 68. He could fuck around and be at 175. Looking at his brothers and his dad.
Looking at the
Looking
what's
at
it
the
called?
family, they all big dudes. They all look like
Yeah.
they plus 200 pounds.
Yeah.
They saying wait, man, it sound like, man, I don't know. If I was a bird on the wall, I would say it sound like somebody saying this man weight bullying, man.
I mean, bro, didn't Bo Mac say Bud should have been at 168? I swear he said that. Did he look like he was a miniature man in there with Canelo? It looked like he was comfortable at that weight.
You right. I guess y'all gonna follow that Bud playbook. That's a playbook, man. You better be ready for that playbook, man.
What playbook? These are the facts. Bud looked comfortable at
Y'all,
168.
it sound like you following that Bud playbook, man. That's a unorthodox playbook, man. Bud pulled that shit off, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Boots should be trying to do everything Bud did, man, because I don't know, man. But we'll
Going
see.
at 160 is career suicide, bro, because there's no big fights at 160 that turn him into a star. 154 got all the names.
If you look at all the champs, right, there's only really one champ at 54 that has a solid name, and that's Sebastian Fundora. All of these guys are new faces at 54 when you talk about championships and where people are saying all of this smoke. Yes, 54. I don't equate 54 with 47. My equate to 54 is what's going on at 140. It's musical chairs. At any given day, any one of those champs could lose because they're all so young. And they all, I mean, when you look at it, I made a statement that pissed off, I guess, is a heavy Sebastian Fundora fan when I said, listen, you got a belt now. You should not be learning how to fight behind a jab when you got a belt, when you were already a unified champion. So when you really, really get up there and you get in the ring with maybe an elite fighter or someone who's showing those elite tendencies at 54, I question whether or not you're gonna win that fight, Mr. Fundora. Dude went ape shit at me. He got really pissed off at me. You feel what I'm saying? But I stay 10 toes down on that comment. When you look at Xander is still showing flaws. Yes, Xander could be that dude, but he's got to tighten some shit up. Bakaram right now is about the best all-around solid competition, and Bakaram is still questioned because it's hard to find footage on Bakaram.
And look, this is what I'm gonna say. Look, this is what I'm gonna say. If it's boxing, all about timing, right? And I wanted Boots to get Bakaram. Why? Because Bakaram came off of what he did to Tim Tszyu. Since then, shit, we're a couple days shy. We like a week shy away from Bakaram would have been out for a year now. So even when that happened, I'm thinking, do Bakaram got to take a fight and then a fight? Like, do we got to take a fight and then we're gonna get that next fight with Boots, because he gonna be catching Bakaram off of a year, like over a year and some change off. Like, so I'm like, man, look, man, that would have been the best statement, man, because Bakaram kind of like shocked everybody. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wasn't expecting Tim Tszyu, because people knew of Tim Tszyu. Like, people saw, they caught what they could of Bakaram on film and stuff, like what they could scavenge for. But nobody expected Bakaram to come in there and put Tim Tszyu on ice like that. If Boots would have came up and caught that fade like right away, he would have asked, like, people would have been like, man, shit, Boots, you know what I'm saying? It would have been no question. Like, right now, they still guessing because it's looking like that what Devin was doing at 35, man.
I mean, it's still time for that fight to happen. You know?
Yeah. But good stuff, man. You a hardcore Boots fan. I know that, man. Like that, but it's good. It's hardcore Devin fans in the chat. I like to see I like I like to see people stand up for their fighters, man. Like you definitely, you know what I'm saying? You definitely gonna stand in the gap for Boots, man. For real. You from Philly, Dirk?
No.
Okay. Well, I think we had a good convo, man. We'll see, man. I think I don't expect nothing from Lima, man. I think he gonna get his ass spiked. You know what I'm saying? And
I think it's gonna be tough, man. I think Boots gonna win, but I think he gonna have to work hard for it because Lima is a durable, tough, strong dude. He ain't gonna go out like off. You gotta kill him, bro. He's one of them type of guys. You gotta kill him.
we'll see.
Boxing, man. Boxing. Like y'all been watching boxing long enough, bro. Like a lot of these unknown dudes be like y'all know how hungry they is, bro. They got kids to feed. They trying to put on for their family. Like they're not gonna come in there and lay down.
No, but sometimes when, even though you're unknown and you're a real tough fighter, when you get into the second half of the fight, if the fighter is at that level, as we're gonna call them special, they figured out certain things to take control of the fight and or take control and then get you up out of there.
Right.
So,
and you're right.
At the end of the day, this is.
But I'm saying, even if Boots finds those tendencies, he could still be a durable guy.
But see, for me, these are some of the things I may be looking at for Boots because I may not have been looking at it. I just may have been wanting to see how he looks at 54. But when he said, yeah, when I go up there, right now I'm just going to focus on Lima. I want to take care of Lima, make the statement, put 54 on, put all the champions and everybody at 54 on notice with this great, blah, blah, blah type victory. So, okay, you sold me on that. Now you've given me something to hold you accountable for. This is why I said, you know what? The dude is breaking down this fight between Lima and the tall white guy. And I said, yeah, this dude Lima is, whatever. You're co-signing part of maybe what I was feeling that, this fight may be a little bit tougher than what Boots think it actually is going to be because you're saying Lima's tough and you're saying whatever. Lima's brand new to me. I watch boxing a lot, but Lima is actually brand new to me. I do not follow any of the champions like that for the IBO unless I watch the fight with somebody fighting for the IBO belt. You feel what I'm saying? So outside of that, hey, dare I say what you gonna say, Dirk, if Lima actually pulls off the unthinkable and gets the split decision?
Nah, if it comes down to a split decision, it's gonna come down.
You think it's gonna be an A side split decision?
Yeah. But it still be a bad look if it is a split decision because you shouldn't be beating Lima by a split decision.
But this is why I was saying what I was saying earlier. Like in this type of fight with your casual fans, not your diehard fans, they're expecting like, who is this dude? You got people making, videos calling him lima beans. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, for the casual fan, they're expecting Boots to get this guy the fuck up out of there. Like I'm not.
But
this may be pressure for Boots and expose Boots to something that, expose him to something. Maybe getting hit with a shot that I'm not saying knocks him out, but has people like, oh shit, wow. Okay, I didn't expect this nigga Lima was gonna catch him with some shit like that.
I don't think Lima's got anything Boots never seen before. But I'll say this, bro: those people that you talking about that call them lima beans, and I know who you talking about. I'm not gonna name any names, but
Yeah.
I mean, these are the same people that swore up and down that Terrence Crawford would lose to Canelo. Terrence Crawford would get washed by his guy Earl Spence. Charlo is a better fighter than Terrence Crawford. Like these people don't know shit about boxing, bro. They don't.
But the whole point I'm saying is, um, within within that community of people that follow people who show up in their chats and their lives and things like that, they're selling it to their audience who may be, diehard casuals that,
Right.
hey, listen, Boots should destroy this dude Lima. Like, if he ain't knocking this dude out, it's yada yada yada. And this is a talking point I'm hearing more and more. It's like echoing louder and louder. It was something that was being whispered before, and it's like, nah, get a kid a chance. He moving up to 140. They trying to move him right. Be cautious. Some other people are like, all right, when are you going to take the training wheels off? He was just Ring Magazine and Unified Champ. Why is he going to another division with training wheels on? And then, from those started the other people taking those questions and running with weird narratives that they made off of, tangible questions about how Boots is being maneuvered, moved, and what's Eddie Hearn's plan actual for Boots. I guess you kind of put light on it being a diehard Boots fan when you was talking about Eddie Hearn maybe trying to build something, or maybe I took it wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. He may have tried to build something off of, the Zone USA, and Boots may be a part of that whole thing that he wants to do. But if that's the case, whether that's rumored or actual fact, it might be something that's good, and it's a good opportunity for Boots to be represented in that way. But at the same token, we still want to see you fight the level of competition that our eye test told us you should have been fighting.
Yeah, he wants to. He wants Boots to be his main American star.
Okay, so
We'll see.
at the end of the day, great cook body. You feel what I'm saying? To just put a stake in it and double down on. In this live, I think it was kind of cool because we represented it. We represented, with some fighters, three different perspectives of the fan base. With Boots, we represented basically maybe two and a half uh, representations of his fan base. You feel what I'm saying? I would say the half because you actually went to one. You actually went to one of his fights, but you're also critical of some of the things that's going on with him. So I won't give you the full point of being like a full representative of a Boots fan in today's context. I would give that full point to Dirk. My perspective was, I'm just questioning the dude's level of competition, and I want to see him in a fight where, if he's a special talent, then you should be doing things that gets certain people up out of there fast. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we had great perspectives, and on to the next one.
I appreciate you,
Dirk.
And-
Salute to you,
and-
Dirk, for showing up.
Thanks for jumping on, Dirk, man. I respect you too, Dirk, man, because you stood in the gap, man, and I see why you probably win a lot of debates. I see why you probably win because you got that shit down to a science, man. So, and fans need that, you know what I'm saying? Like in the world, because I told you, it's fans like you that need to stick. Like for me, for certain fighters, that's how I am with certain fighters, right? But like it's needed because you're going up against all these other fan bases. You're going up against ops. You're going up against people who, they default to be on the other side. Like me, I was trying to have an objective because I wanted the Boots only fans out here in the world that actually hear and actually look at some of these things that I be looking at when I'm trying to be objective and have talks about them and how they sound sometimes. But I support Boots. You know what I'm saying? So, I think this live was more like to put a stake in the ground. I'm keeping my shares in Boots right now. I know a lot of people are selling. I'm looking at getting some more shares. I just want to see. I want to see that ticker. I want to see it grow a little bit. I want to see it. You know what I'm saying? I want to see it do a little bit more. It make me feel a little bit more comfortable because I don't want it to get upended. Like you go up to 60 or you get an opportunity with one of these guys with advantages are mixed and poof. You know what I'm saying? Because it can happen. An off night at the office and somebody that's really high and getting up for you in one of these fights, you know what I'm saying? They coming in there like they've been studying and watching you. Because Boots, this is the last thing I'm going to say, y'all. Boots don't have anybody right now that can say that they on his bumper. Like, you know how David Morrell was on David Benavidez's bumper. David Benavidez was on Canelo's bumper. Like, Boots don't have nobody that's like chasing him right now. And like, ain't nobody like on his ass. Like, hey, I want him. I've been studying him. I watch him. I want him. He don't have that. That guy is going to emerge. I don't know who, but he don't have one right now. So, good cook, y'all. I think we did it justice.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Y'all have a good evening.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It was a good cook, man. I try to be objective, man. I'm a Boots fan. I got some stock in Boots, you know what I'm saying? I don't really like the one-sidedness of it all sometimes. Let me see. He said, yeah, Boots defense is suspect. I think he got some cleaning up to do. Charlo will stop Boots at 54. Now, Charlo was one of my guys. That's why when Charlo did that thing where he was biting on that boot, that lion with that, that lion biting on that boot, like, I ain't hear nothing coming from Boots on that one. And I'm at a point now where, as far as what Bud did and how he did it, I had to back up off of that man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was no adverse test. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's saying nothing about any crazy. It's only a couple channels that still like going out of their way to shit on Bud. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do it. And Bud did what he needed to do, man. I'm glad he spanked Canelo's ass. I was relieved by actually seeing it. And I gotta give Bud his credit, man. I'm not gonna like I buried everything I had, I buried everything I had for Bud, man. He gained my respect by spanking Canelo. Am I gonna say he's the greatest ever? No, I'm not gonna go that far. But I am gonna say he did what he needed to do. I think Boots is on his own path. I think Boots is much like I said earlier in the live. I think Boots has to show that this is not because he has all the advantages. Like, he has to be in some fights where he don't have all the advantages. And a lot of times people will actually say, oh man, you hating, like that sounds like you want him to lose. Like almost like that time when Shakur tried to use that reverse psychology. You're like, oh, you want me to just stand there and get hit? It's like, no, we're not. Nobody's asking you to stand nowhere and get hit. That's not what anybody's asking. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Boots. Like, we're not asking for you to go and put yourself in a compromising position where you just, no, we're not. On some gladiator shit, like when Buddy stabbed him up under his arm in the rib area, and then made him go out there and fight. We're not asking for you to do no gladiator type shit. What we are asking you to do is to fight the guys that look like monsters. So you can be a full-fledged monster. You know, I'm not of this era where you just get to say somebody's name 1,000 times, and in every interview you say their name and you obsess with them, and you get an offer to fight and you turn it down, but then every channel you get on, you say their name. Like, I'm not of that clout chasing era. And like, yeah, if they ask, I think some of the dialogue about it is healthy conversation. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you do need to be able to promote yourself. Yes, you do know how to. You do have to get in front of a camera and, you know, market yourself, but not to the extent where you look like you selling butt. You know, I mean, some of that stuff. Because I say this all the time, and I'm gonna close with this. But this is Fruits and Veggies, not Dead Reggie. This is fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though we have ours. There are certain people who, Abdullah Mason, his name came up in the chat. His name come up in all kind of conversations. Abdullah Mason is not out here clout chasing anybody. Abdullah Mason gets inside that ring, and he lets his talents and what he do inside the ring speak for himself. Everybody knows him. I'm thinking like Brian Norman to a certain extent. He's the same way. He do have a little personality, and when you see him, he's very comfortable in front of the camera. But when he's in that ring, he let that, what he did inside the ring and what he told Ring Magazine is his secret to success. That's why I came out and did that video the other day, saying classified, and showed the burglar picking that lock, because that's his secret to success. And believe it or not, people used to talk about Tank and how he couldn't talk and how he couldn't speak and all this other bullshit that they used to say. But guess how he got to the top? By the shit he was doing inside the ring. They try to give credit to Floyd and all that, but at the end of the day, you get inside that ring and you smack it out the park, people are going to talk about you. You string enough of those wins. And for Tank, he did it because he didn't have the height, he didn't have the reach, he didn't have the size. He might have been more athletic, had more power than most of them guys, but his IQ definitely underrated. IQ was better than a lot because he had to negotiate obstacles that most people didn't have to. And every time he get in there, he has to negotiate obstacles that most people don't have to face, but he don't get no credit for it. These other guys that's naturally bigger, they always have the higher, they always taller, they always longer, they always bigger, rehydrate much more, naturally bigger, more active most of the time. You know what I'm saying? More experienced most of the time. It's like, come on, man, fight some guys to where they got some advantages over you. Fight some guys that look like monsters until you get in there with them. Do that. And you ain't got to worry about chasing nobody. You ain't got to worry about saying nobody's name. People are going to start saying your name. Why? Because they're going to want to, you know, see how they fare against you as the best. That's just food for thought. We had a good cook, man. I hope Boots go on and do his thing, man. I wish him well in the fight with Lima. You know what I'm saying? He should smack this one out of the park. You know, but I just wanted to put something on your mind. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Body Work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Body Work.